Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going deep into a topic we haven't really touched on before, the connection between autism and sleepwalking.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of people don't realize how big of an impact sleep can have, especially for individuals with autism.
Right, it's definitely more than just, that sort of like quirky sleep habit a lot of us might think of.
Exactly. For many families, it's a very real concern, something that impacts their lives every day.
And in preparing for this deep dive, you sent over some research, and I have to say, some of the stats on sleep issues and autism were really pretty eye-opening.
Absolutely. And they really highlight just how important sleep is, especially when we're talking about autism. Research suggests that, get this, 40 to 80%, that's a huge E percentage, of children with autism experience some kind of sleep problem.
Wow, that is a lot. So we're not just talking about feeling a bit tired here.
No, not at all. Think about it. If a child hasn't slept well, how are they going to focus during therapy? How are they going to interact with their friends, manage all those sensory input, and that might be difficult? It all becomes so much harder.
That's a really good point. It affects everything. It really does put it in perspective how sleep problems go way beyond just being sleepy. So let's talk specifically about sleepwalking now, or
Hmm.
somnambulism, I think is the more formal term.
Right, somnambulism. And it's actually a lot more than just wandering around. We're talking complex behaviors happening while someone's completely asleep, walking, talking, even doing everyday things like routine tasks, all without remembering a thing the next day.
Wow, so they're basically on autopilot. It's
Basically.
kind of amazing and also a little creepy to think about.
Yeah.
What I find interesting, though, is this connection between autism and a higher chance of sleepwalking.
Yeah, definitely. And researchers think that there could be several reasons for this. One big factor is other conditions that often show up alongside autism.
So it's like there's already this sort of underlying, um, I don't want to say vulnerability, but maybe predisposition.
Sure, predisposition is a good way to put it. And then other factors kind of layer on top of that. Like, think about the sensory sensitivities that many people with autism experience.
Oh, right.
Imagine not being able to tune out even the feeling of your sheets or a tiny hum from, like the fridge or something. Those sensory experiences, they don't just go away during sleep, which makes it much tougher to really fall into a deep, restful sleep.
It's like their senses are always kind of switched on, even when they should be taking a break.
Exactly. And that can make a huge difference in sleep quality.
And speaking of things that can affect sleep, we've talked a lot about routine before, how important that is for many autistic individuals. Do you think that plays a role in sleepwalking too?
Oh, absolutely. Routine is crucial for setting a good sleep-wake cycle, or what we call our circadian rhythm.
Right, our internal clock.
Exactly. So, for folks who really thrive on predictability, any disruptions to that routine, especially when it comes to sleep, can throw things off balance. Makes it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
It's like their body's never quite sure when it's time to wind down.
That's a great way to put it.
And of course, we can't forget about the emotional side of things. I mean, anxiety is something we know many people with autism experience, and I can only imagine that that would make sleep even harder.
Oh, for sure. Anxiety and sleep can turn into this kind of, vicious cycle. You can't fall asleep. You start worrying about not sleeping, which makes it even harder to fall asleep. And for individuals with autism who might already be dealing with anxiety during the day, it's just an added layer of difficulty.
It all adds up, doesn't it? So we've got like this combination of things, co-occurring conditions, sensory overload, routine disruptions, anxiety, all potentially playing a role in sleepwalking in autism. It's a lot.
It really is. It's complex, but understanding these factors can help us find solutions.
Right, exactly. You mentioned earlier that a large percentage, like 40 to 80% of autistic children, experience some kind of sleep problem. Do we know how many of them have specifically dealt with sleepwalking?
So research is still ongoing there, but some estimates suggest that somewhere between 10 and 20% of children with autism might experience sleepwalking.
Wow, so that's compared to what, like 1 to 5% of the general population?
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely something to be aware of.
Those are pretty striking numbers.
Yeah.
But for our listeners who are hearing all this and maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, like, okay, this is a lot, what can I actually do about it?
Mm.
What are some first steps?
That's the key question, right? It's not enough to just understand why it happens. We need practical strategies. And I always say safety first. If someone is prone to sleepwalking, creating a safe environment for them is absolutely crucial.
What does that look like? Like, what are some things people can actually do?
Well, think about it. Someone's up and moving around, but they're not fully aware. So you want to minimize any potential dangers. Clear the pathways, get rid of anything they might trip over, like rubs or cords. You might want to consider safety gates at the top of stairs. Some people even use door alarms so they're alerted if their loved one gets out of bed at night.
Smart. Those are really good practical tips. And we were just talking about routine. So how can people go about establishing a consistent sleep routine that actually promotes good sleep?
Consistency is key. Having that regular sleep-wake cycle, even on weekends, it makes a big difference. It's about sending those signals to the body, letting it know that it's almost time to sleep.
So what would that look like, practically speaking?
Think about a calming pre-sleep routine, maybe a warm bath, reading a book, some quiet music. These activities, they tell the body and mind to start winding down.
Yeah, it's about creating that peaceful atmosphere, like signaling that the day is done.
Yeah.
And for anyone dealing with anxiety, are there any relaxation things they could try as part of that routine?
Definitely. Even something as simple as deep breathing exercises can help a lot. Just taking a few minutes to really focus on your breath, it can calm down your whole system. Oh, and progressive muscle relaxation is another good one.
I've heard of that, but what is it exactly?
So you basically go through your body, tensing and then releasing different muscle groups. Helps to relax the body, which often leads to a calmer mind too.
Love it. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got safety tips, routines, ways to relax, but what if someone's tried all of this and the sleepwalking's still a problem?
In that case, keeping a sleep diary can be super helpful.
Okay, I'm all about simple solutions. What kind of stuff would you track in a sleep diary?
Think about everything in those hours before bed. How much screen time? Were there any sugary snacks late at night? Any activities that might have been overstimulating? Writing those things down, along with when the sleepwalking happens and how often, it can really help you and your doctor pinpoint any triggers or patterns.
It's like detective work, right? Looking for clues. Speaking of doctors, when is it time to actually get professional help for sleepwalking?
Well, it's always smart to talk to a doctor if you're concerned, obviously. But especially if it's happening a lot, if it seems dangerous at all, like if they're trying to cook or go outside, or if it's making them super sleepy during the day, then yeah, definitely reach out to a doctor or a sleep specialist.
Always better to be safe than sorry. And like we've been talking about, this is especially important for individuals with autism.
100%. Sleep is essential for everyone, but for folks with autism, getting good sleep can make a huge difference in so many areas of their lives.
This deep dive has definitely opened my eyes to how connected autism and sleepwalking really are. It makes you think about, how important it is to look at the whole picture, not just one specific issue.
Absolutely. Sleepwalking is often just a piece of a much bigger sleep puzzle. And by addressing the root of those sleep challenges, we can really improve quality of life for individuals with autism and their families.
Exactly. It's about giving them the knowledge and tools to actually make a change, to sleep better, and just live better overall.
Couldn't agree more. Small steps can lead to big changes.
So true. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive today, I want to leave our listeners with this. What's one small thing you can do this week to start building a better sleep routine? Maybe it's trying one of those relaxing activities, putting the screens away earlier, or even just setting a regular sleep schedule. Every step toward better sleep is a step toward better health.
Well said. It's a journey, and every journey starts with a single step.
Love that. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into sleepwalking and autism. Until next time, sleep well, everyone.